Hello, my name is Zippora Karz, and I am a former soloist with the New York City Ballet, where I danced for 16 years. And today I'm a repetiteur for the George Balanchine Trust. So I stage the ballets for companies all over the world and schools and universities. I started working with Ballet Tucson about 5 years ago. I set my first Balanchine ballet with the company. I know for me as a student, when I first experienced a Balanchine ballet, I didn't grow up with ballet as far as a visual. I grew up in Los Angeles in the 70s, and there wasn't a company there at the time. And so I actually started dancing before I actually saw a ballet, a Balanchine ballet. I didn't see a Balanchine ballet till many years later. And I was always a little bored whenever I would turn the television on or I'd see ads for ballet. It just didn't speak to me. What spoke to me was moving to the music and dancing. And yet, when I first saw my first Balanchine ballet, it felt to me like I was dancing. It wasn't a pretense or you're not trying to be something, you're not acting, you're not telling a story. It's dancers moving to the music in trained bodies. And Balanchine had a saying where he said, see the music, hear the dance, where you're visually seeing the music as the dancers do their steps, their choreography. And the experience for me in watching the Balanchine ballets was that when something's so pure, you're taken into it. You're experiencing it with the dancers. You're not removed from the process. As an audience member, you're actually taken into the musical note. I experienced that watching a Balanchine ballet. And so I think that it speaks to audiences because it's about the music. It's about heart and soul and moving to music, and we all are taken on a journey together. Second Balanchine ballet that I staged for Ballet Tucson was Walpurgisnacht, and the nickname that we call it in the New York City Ballet is Faust. And Faust is one of the first ballets that I saw the New York City Ballet do. And in Faust, the dancers get to take their hair down, and at the finale part, you get to run with crazy abandonment with your hair down. And I remember, first of all, when I saw Faust, I just really want to do that ballet so much. And then when I got to do the ballet, I would say that that was one of my favorite ballets to dance, because the thing that I love about Balanchine, even in his tutu ballets, is you're never really in a box. You're never expected to have to be perfect or be a certain way. There's a lot of nuances. Balanchine is neoclassical. So even in his classical ballets, a little off the hip, a little maybe a turned in leg here or there. And so he puts a lot of that in Walpurgisnacht, in Faust. The steps are classical, and yet within that, you can have some turned in movement. But Balanchine loved the energy of America and New York in particular. And he put that in his ballets, and it's everywhere in Faust. He loved the uninhibitedness, the abandonment of Americans. And that is what Walpurgisnacht is. It is abandoned and as big and generous as the dancer can go. There's no limit. And so you have this entire corps de ballet and soloists. It's a pretty big cast. And everyone is just giving their entire heart and soul, dancing with all of their entire being. And you almost cannot not do that in Faust, because between the steps and the music, you have to, it just calls you to do it. Your body wants to do that. And so Ballet Tucson did a beautiful job with Faust. Faust is a little bit more heavy with principal dancers, I'd say, than some of the other ballets. Like there's a male and a female, and then a soloist girl, and then the rest is the corps and the demis. But as with every Balanchine ballet, everyone's dancing. So no matter what part you're doing, everyone gets to break out and dance. Everyone takes their hair down. The only one who doesn't dance as much is actually the male. he does have a solo, but he has the least probably part of the whole ballet than most of the females in it. Balanchine, had a saying, ballet is woman. So he really honored women, and the man was really there to present the woman and wasn't there to kind of take over and make it all about him. Faust was first choreographed earlier for, I believe, the Paris Opera, but when he restaged it and re-choreographed it for the New York City Ballet, it was 1980. I personally moved to New York in 1980, 81. So he had just brought Faust to the New York City Ballet and re-choreographed it. And I remember those first moments of seeing that. And it was done for Suzanne Farrell. And I had never seen a performer. I hadn't seen much dance at all, but I'd never seen a dancer quite like the abandonment and the musicality and the sheer spontaneity of Suzanne Farrell. And I remember Faust, Walpurgisnacht, was one of the first pieces I saw the New York City Ballet do. And I was completely breathless and speechless over the amount of life that I saw on that stage. And I felt that I was dancing. I was a little tired after the performance because I was with them, and I was so brought into the exuberance of it. And I think the audience feels that. I think the audience is taken on a journey. Walpurgisnacht is just so in every one of us. In every one of us lies the desire, the seed to just completely express ourselves and find who we are and vibrate. And I feel that Walpurgisnacht allows us as dancers to just be almost electrified. Our whole bodies are electrified. We're so alive. We're so present. And that really is what Balanchine was about. He wanted us to be here and now and give 100% of our energy. And this ballet, I don't think you can be in it and not give 100%. I know for myself as a dancer, I had to visually see other people doing a part for me to understand how far I could take it. I was like, oh, really? I can do that? I'm allowed to go that far? I'm allowed to do that? Otherwise, I would think, like, from the step itself, I have to stay within my, the way it was being taught in a kind of, trying to be perfect. And so I would secretly go and watch films of the dancers that I really loved and thought had that kind of other than thing. And I'd watch how they did the role. And then I'd think how I could make it my own based on what I saw them doing. And I needed that as a dancer. I needed the permission, how far I could take it. That I needed that. So I like to do that for the dancers. I like to show them how far they can take it.